California billionaire exodus has begun, following in the footsteps of New York. Today we'll tell you why some of the biggest media moguls and their companies are getting ready to say farewell to the Golden State, moving to red states as fast as they possibly can. And guess what else? It could be a race to move the economies from San Fran, from Silicon Valley, from NYC to places that need them more now than ever before. What a day, oh what a day to be alive, folks, and covering the news. It's happening quickly and we can't wait to bring it to you. It turns out that those billionaire taxes, the communism, the socialism of New York and California is completely transforming the entertainment landscape and where fun stuff gets made all across the US of A. As we dive in, click that like button. We got lots to say and we can't wait to bring it to you. The California billionaire exodus has begun, and now people are starting to wonder how many celebrities are going to follow suit. This out of Forbes by Mary Whitfill Roloffs. What a cool name. Google billionaire Sergey Brin compares California wealth tax to Soviet Union socialism. This is the Google co-founder, now ex-California resident, has said he is adamantly opposed to the 5% one time, they say, tax on the wealth of California residents. Here's what the article goes into. Let's dive in. Key facts. Brin, who has moved from a backer of liberal causes to a supporter of Republican President Donald Trump, told the New York Times in a rare statement, quote, "I fled socialism with my family in 1979 and know the devastating oppressive society it created in the Soviet Union. I don't want California to end up in the same place. The proposed tax would apply to California residents with assets worth at least $1.1 billion and has pushed a number of bold-faced billionaires, including Brin, to leave the state. The union, leading the effort on Tuesday, said it had collected nearly 1.6 million signatures of support, twice as many as the 875,000 it needs to get to the measure on the November ballot, and has submitted them to election officials for verification. Supporters say the tax is needed to compensate for federal health care funding cuts, but opponents, including Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom, say driving billionaires out of the state will do more harm than good for California's economy and budget. So we're starting to see now the billionaires getting out of there. This guy, Sergey, he's moved to Florida. And we went through a list a couple weeks ago of the celebrities in California who are billionaires. And I got to start wondering how long it is until they leave. But even beyond that, guys, when we look at the billionaires who own and run studios in California, much of their wealth is generated by them owning portions of their studios, their companies, etc. So this actually has a pretty big impact on entertainment. It's not just about co-founders of Google or Silicon Valley, mega money guys. Rather, this is also about some of the people who make the stuff you enjoy on TV. And also people like, Zuckerberg, who social media is definitely entertainment. Guys, what do you think about the idea that the exodus has already begun? I know it was hard to predict this. We would have never thought this would take place, but Wiz, it's happening in New York and California now. People are fleeing for Texas, for Florida, and for other places as well. What do you think is the future of this? Will it slow down the movement by these kind of crazy commies out of California and New York?
I've spent time driving around states like North Carolina, states like Texas, and the traffic has increased in these areas quite a bit over the last few years. I don't really like it. But it's going to keep happening. It's not going to stop. My concern now is that, the things that these people are the proper word would be fleeing from, the reason that they're fleeing from those other states and going to these new states, I hope they don't bring the baggage with them and then turn those states that they're going to into the states that they're fleeing from. That's the case here. And that's whether it be billionaire or just an average Joe. It doesn't matter. It's the same mindset bringing people from place to place. And that's I don't know how it's all going to go down or where it's going to continue to be, but I think you got to stay and fight where you are. I really think that's kind of where the conversation needs to be. Why you set your state up to play out the way it's played out. Why aren't you doing anything to reclaim it?
Well, Wiz, to ask, let me follow up with you on that. So for somebody like Sergey Brin, the answer might be because they're going after my stock. They're going after the wealth that's derived from this company. I can't afford to actually then be, whatever percentage owner of Google. Like they're actually going to come in and strip away my ownership percentages.
Yeah, and there's other fine-tuned language here in this new arrangement that it's going to be more than just a wealth tax on billionaires. Like there's fine-tuned language in there that this is going to hit regular people too. And if they don't get the money, with the billionaires, they're going to be able to get it out of just normal folks anyway. It keeps getting worse. Like that's the problem. Everything keeps getting worse, and everybody's running away, not learning from or feeling the experience of, hey, there's something wrong here, and it's going to take both billionaires and average Joes alike saying, hey, we got to do something. We got to do something about it. That's my position.
So the other thing that's happening, we're watching too, as California, New York, and a few other states, they are adamantly opposed to AI. They're adamantly opposed to data centers. They're adamantly opposed to increasing energy production. And so not only are we seeing, and you can see your folks, Peter Thiel, Page, Brin, Zuckerberg, all these people who are definitely, involved in entertainment, they are not only moving to Florida and buying mansions there, but they're also offloading what was Silicon Valley's success story. They're moving the facilities to other places, right? So Elon Musk is largely operating now in Texas, Florida, Tennessee. The supercomputer that could have been, the world's most powerful supercomputer called the Colossus could have been somewhere around San Fran. Instead, it's in Memphis, of all places, Memphis, Tennessee, on the Mississippi River. So what we're seeing too is not only are these individuals exiting and getting out of California, New York, but they're taking these businesses that drive entertainment, right? I mean, Grok is now the leader in video generation for AI. They're taking all of that elsewhere, and the economy is actually shifting to these other states. Jonas, are we seeing right now an exodus of where media will be made?
It's a funny thing to think about the data centers being the center of where media is made, because the data center itself, that's actually very difficult to tax. It doesn't actually add anything to the bottom line.
Well, until these states figure it out. Right. As soon as the states figure out how to tax that, they will. They should, honestly. So if people are making full-blown movies and animated shows at a data center versus at a studio, tax it like it's a studio. Go for it. I have no problem with that. But all of those data centers are going to states that were not previously associated with media production.
Yeah, this is the thing where I think that if as the world gets flatter because of the way that the information superhighway, that's like been 30 years since I first heard that phrase. But as the world gets flatter, location matters less, unless it's something that is genuinely crafted by hand. And so, yeah, this is something where Hollywood has to come with the meritocracy if they're going to try to make the argument that they are the best. They actually have to be the best. They can't just be the rights holders. They can't just be, oh, well, we got all the pretty people. They have to make a product that everyone wants if they're going to make this argument.
Culture, am I being a little bit, maybe I just have too much glitz and glamour in my eye when it comes to the future. Maybe AI is this horrible, terrible thing, and it's going to destroy all of us. Skynet is on the way, and maybe we're going to keep making movies, the traditional way, the Warner Brothers lot or wherever it is. But I don't think so. I think that part of this gamble they're making with the billionaire taxes and the crazy stuff happening in New York City, I think part of it is they believe the world will be the way it has been for the past century, and that's simply not true. And they're gambling everything on that idea that, oh, we're New York. Sinatra sings about us. You can't leave. Oh, we're California. We're the place. I mean, who would not want to be living in L.A.? It's the city of angels. It turns out a lot of people are saying, no, I'd like to leave.
Well, and that's the problem is the progressive ideals never translate when it comes to policy. We right now it's incredibly regressive. It's exactly the way the income tax was brought into being, and it being a one-time tax. I think both you, Pro, and Wiz mentioned that this is going to trickle down to everybody, and it's not just going to be something. It's going to be something everybody will walk away from. The states that employ this type of thinking are going to be the ones who see the mass exodus, because the next people up are the people making $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, and they're going to bail. And it's not just the stock holdings; it's the fact that they're going after unrealized gains. And as you pointed out, they don't want to have to cough up.
Okay, explain culture. Explain to the audience. I did that poorly earlier. I should have taken more time on it. The unrealized gains. This is why the billionaires have to leave. They don't have a choice. They got to leave.
Yeah,
explain it, please.
They need to leave. They need to relocate their companies elsewhere. They need to protect their employees and their percentage of holdings. It's no surprise to me that Apple's moving, but the reason that I say it the way I do with unrealized gains, these people are worth this amount of money if they were to sell their stock. That's what Elon's wealth is based on, Peter Thiel and many others. Right? If they sell off their holdings, then they would have realized gains. Unrealized gains is an assumption that those pieces of paper are worth X amount of dollars, and that's what we're going after to tax. To
state this in a one-to-one term, if I buy a Bitcoin for $1 and it rises to $60,000 in value, I don't need to be taxed on that $59,000 gain until I've sold that Bitcoin, because it may go back down to $1. Right. So I may sell it for $30,000, but what they're proposing is going ahead and taxing you on the $60,000 gain, which if you're a person that only held one Bitcoin, then that means you have to sell the item in order to pay the taxes on the item. It also creates an incredible mess because you in order to be taxed on unrealized gains, you should be allowed to be given a tax rebate or a tax credit for unrealized losses. Then all of a sudden, there's a lot of real estate out there in California that people will just step in and say, "Oh, well, this is lowering in value now." So here we go.
Yeah. And look, that's taxation without representation in a different form. Not merely the original claim of that statement would be. You're being taxed on not the money that you have or have made or you've been able to. It's not profit. And if they put the state in a situation where, as California land values decrease and everything else that's been going down there decreases, then are all these companies and individuals going to be able to go to the state and say, hey, you owe me all this money that this thing is no longer worth? If they were to do that, it would be an absolute disaster beyond the amount of deficit and debt they already have.
All right, so let's think about this again from entertainment. So Zuckerberg's one of the most wealthiest billionaires in California, okay? He's in charge of Meta. He's in charge of Facebook. He's got to get out. He's got to leave. Why? Because if you can be taxed, let's say your company is worth, with Facebook and Meta, I don't even know what it's worth. Let's just I'll throw a silly number out there, okay? Let's say it's worth $500 billion. I bet it's worth more, but whatever it is. If he owns 40% or 30% or whatever, he gets taxed on that whether or not he sells, which then means what Jonas said, he's got to sell to pay the tax on the thing that he will no longer own. It is punitive in double ways. Okay, then Larry Ellison, right? We talk about the Ellisons all the time here on the channel. Why? Because they just bought Paramount, Skydance, CBS. They own Warner Brothers. They got to leave. They got to get out of there. This is driving the media moguls out of California. And do you think they're going to get out of there and say, well, just leave our entertainment companies over there. I'm just going to move. No, this is going to turn New York and California into Detroit. Wiz, I'll give you a final word on it.
I think, look, here's another something else. There are a lot of states out there that have tax benefits to filming. You could go to South Dakota, you can go to North Carolina, you can go to Florida, Georgia. All over the country, there are places where you can get really good tax benefits for making content. You just got to go through and file the paperwork. That's another factor in play too. So, it's not only there's the aggressive side to it of what's happening in California and New York, but then there's also, like, I would say, a defensive side to it of, hey, there's already all these tax benefits in other places that are incentivizing you to come out here. You've got the governor of Tennessee saying, hey, bring your businesses here, not even just entertainment. Come do commerce with this state. We want to support you. And we need more of that, but we need that throughout the rest of the country, not just Tennessee, because we don't need everybody flocking to Tennessee and then ruining Tennessee. We don't need everybody flocking to Austin, Texas, and ruining that, which is what's happening, or North Carolina or Florida. It's you know, I know there's the argument of like, stay where you are, you know, you ruined it, you got to live with it. No, fight for your homes. Fight for your homes, man, because otherwise no one will.
That's the Adam Carolla,
or the regular people. You got to fight. You got to be able to fight.
That's the Adam Carolla strategy. He said he's got to stay in California and fight it. Talking about that, the Tennessee versus California thing, you know, you got to think California drove Elon Musk. All of his businesses were there. And he mostly moved to Texas, but he put his AI stuff in Tennessee. And I'm told the reason is because the state of Tennessee told Elon Musk, what will it take? What do we got to do? We want you here. Imagine the difference in that. And when these people are leaving to these other states are saying, we've been waiting for decades. We've been waiting for decades. We would love to support all of these big ideas. And so entertainment, I believe, is going to flow away. Folks, it's going to be in Nevada. It's going to be in Tennessee. It's going to be in North Carolina. It's going to be in Florida. It's going to be in Texas. It's going to be in Utah. I mean, I can keep going and going and going, but it's going to be flowing all across the world, because not only is the new media on the rise, but content creators are going to take their place. I believe telling the stories much better than Hollywood ever could, ever would, and dare never will. Pulling Hollyweird to the sensible center, the mainstream middle where money is made, is not easy, but folks, you make it easy to make videos each and every day, because sharing time with you is a great honor, and we never take it lightly. An attitude of gratitude every single time we have the chance to shine with you. Until the next time, we only ask that you click that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, don't worry about paying any kind of tuition for this free class and how entertainment works. You are on scholarship. Highest IQ on the internet, that's you for sure. Until the next time we have the opportunity to spend time together, folks, we just ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and as ever, keep having fun.